Hey, welcome back to 24 Hours Inside. Today we're here with
Zen Khan.
Zen. Tell us about yourself, where you're coming from. I know you just said you landed from New Mexico a couple of days ago.
Just a couple of days ago, back in New York, born and raised here, and I'm currently actually living in New Mexico and attending a Bureau College of Osteopathic Medicine out there for my degree in medicine.
Cool. And osteopath medicine is?
It's preventative medicine. So, I mean, we live in a culture where we're always prescribing, more and more pills, medications, and with that comes like another slew of other side effects.
Yeah.
What we're focused on is using osteopathic medical manipulation. People compare it, or there's like a false correlation with like chiropractic as well, but this is more so actually, being able to locate the spinal column, assessing knots, any like irregularities in the person's physique, just like on a skin perspective. That's what we focus on, and we want to like cut back on like the amount of medicine we use. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah. If we can prevent whatever is coming, it's just less medication, less things to fill out, and a happier patient.
Yeah, because the whole thing about it now is like big pharma is not about preventing. Like they said, like they want to have a cure for cancer. They could have done that 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. But all they're doing is delaying the symptoms, which causes more symptoms. So you buy more medicine and more medicine. It's just a billion, trillion-dollar company process.
It's a big industry, yeah. And then pharmaceuticals, once we do find the cure for certain illnesses, they're going to be out of business. So it's just a lot of issues with that. All the doctors do want to obviously find out the root cause of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or any degenerative diseases. But at the same time, it's gonna take a while. I mean, we don't know as much about the brain as we think we know. I mean, I found that out firsthand. My neurology block at medical school. There were just so many intricacies, so many nerve pathways that are just so complex that the textbooks are constantly being rewritten.
So, what made you want to go into this field? What were you doing before? Was something in your childhood, something that motivated you, family, tragedy, or just I want to do it?
Yeah, well, for all the listeners that are familiar with like Coney Island, I used to volunteer at Coney Island Hospital. I just started doing like grunt work, working the desk.
How old were you? I'm sorry.
I was in high school, ninth grade. So relatively young. I went to Brooklyn Tech, and you're also familiar with Brooklyn Tech.
Yep.
Great school, and I was part of like the Gateway to Medicine program there.
Oh.
So it's like a biochem major, if you will. Like it was like one of the instances where a high school had a major. So as you were, very well aware of yourself, it opened me up to medicine, and I started volunteering at the local hospital just as like a something to pass time in the summers.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, one thing after the other, I was a volunteer nurse aide there. Started working up in the ICU. I got to work in the OR, the morgue.
OR is
the operating room.
Okay.
Yeah. With like a couple of doctors that eventually wound up writing my letters of recommendation for college. So it was a very young age when I started to all this. So it was nice. I didn't really think much of it when I first started, but once you start seeing all those interesting patient encounters, and as cliche as it sounds, help to see someone be alleviated of their illness, it feels good. I mean, you can't put a monetary value on that,
But doctors.
But I am in six figures of debt currently. So I mean, luckily, like the field I'm in, I want to do rural medicine. So that's like a subset would be wilderness medicine. So I just recently, just a month ago, I got my wilderness first aid license.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And now I'm going to proceed on to my wilderness first responder, so I can do search and rescue out in New Mexico, because we get a lot of hikers, climbers that go missing, and I figured there's enough people at our school that are interested in that field. So I'm also president of the wilderness medicine club that we founded at our school at BCom, and I already got 37 people or so that are very genuinely interested. Got 2 doctors that are also backing me up with everything. So it's going really well in that regard.
That's really good.
To start from high school to be here right now. Still a work in progress, obviously. But,
but it always is, right? Though.
Yeah, it's a never-ending process.
Like you say yourself, it always changes. Books get rewritten.
Yeah.
New stuff come up. So what's wilderness?
like wilderness medicine?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure like a lot of people are familiar with like family medicine, pediatrics, neurosurgery, orthopedics. It's a subset of internal medicine and ER medicine, so it's like a fellowship. So predominantly, depending on what I get on my exams, it'll determine where I fall into. So will I become a pediatrician? Will I become an ER physician? Will I become internal medicine? Will I do family medicine? So once I get into ER medicine, emergency medicine, or internal medicine, which is like my dream, my goal, I'll do wilderness medicine as a fellowship within that field. So that would mean I would work in the hospital maybe ideally 6 months, and then I'll be out, in the mountains or out on base camps in the Himalayas or wherever the job is. It's gonna be like a traveling kind of gig. So you'll be going to like other exotic areas. There's always these rich clients that need like a physician to go with them on the mountain or just stay in base camp. So that's what I would essentially do.
So do you like traveling too? Is that one reason why you want to do that? Or
yeah, I love traveling. I've been fortunate enough to go to quite a few places. And we also spoke about it all off the camera. Many times.
New Guinea, you've been to?
Yeah, been to South America, Europe. And now, New Mexico still feels like the Wild West, even though, I'm in the States, but it's still very different.
Any hobbies you like while you're doing there?
Yeah, I do a lot of photography. I had a couple of my shots published in the local paper.
We'll add a link to that later, just so people know your hobbies and just who you are more as a person besides just the job aspect.
Yeah, medicine is great, but it's always nice. I like to mix work with play. So, they say not to, but you want to find that fine balance.
Yeah.
Once you find it, it's not work. You're just living. You're living what you want to live.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal for everyone, be it whatever facet of life.
Yeah.
So like hiking, obviously, climbing, mountain biking. It's like an outdoor haven. I live 15 minutes away from the Organ Mountains. It's a famous national monument. Yeah. Huge, towering peaks. Plenty of time to visit, hike out there, depending on when, school's out. So at the end of every exam, I like to go out there. I don't always have the luxury to, just stroll in there on an afternoon. I'm always pulling like 12, 15-hour study days. So it's pretty brutal in that regard.
So speaking of the schedule, how long, you said 12, 15 hours studying, what about, you get to practice anything that you learn?
Yeah, so like we have like our didactic classes, like immunology, endocrinology, reproductive system, like the whole shebang. But then when we have like our hands-on activities, it's called OCSR and OMM. So these are the special skills classes. Okay. That's where we are taught how to insert a NG tube, how to...
Which is, sorry,
the gastric tube, so, with that in that regard. How to suture, so we have like a great simulation tech at our school. He manufactured synthetic human skin that resembles everything down to like the teeth, using pigs and other, objects. We also have dummies and, mannequins that vomit, puke, give birth. It's just so before we go out in the field, we have like some, something to expect, or like some, tech, because it's always not going to be like a textbook. I read something on page 303 on how to, cure so-and-so illness. Yeah. It's not always going to be like that,
So what about the current class you're taking? Which ones do you like? Which ones do you not like? Which ones do you actually think are necessary for your profession that you're going into?
Well, like all these classes, they have like a separate, we focus on every aspect of the human body. So, like we have musculoskeletal, it's like a block system. So each class, 2 to 3 weeks, some often 4 weeks. And all of them actually address a certain part of the body. Oh. So it's not like the college days or the high school days where, as much as I appreciate having those common core curriculum and having other aspects to make me more well-rounded, medical school, they focus on every aspect of the human body, and every class is pivotal. As much as I may or may not like it, we have certain blocks that are really difficult, like immunology and neurology. Hardest blocks.
Immunology, I'm sorry.
In terms of study of the immune system, how we combat infectious diseases, just upon a nick on the skin, and what happens after that, halfway for the bacteria, it's really complicated. A lot of molecular markers, a lot to get into. It's, even I have a lot more to learn in that in that aspect. But that's like a class that usually gets a lot of people, and we all a group study and try to work together and mastering the material, pass the exam, go on to the next block, and keep going until the year's over.
I used to say, and I still do, I think college is unnecessary, at least grad school, undergrad, except for like a few professions such as being a doctor, where you are literally putting people's lives in your hands. So, like you said, college classes are they vary, they're hard, even no matter how long you've been doing, there's some new aspects. What about some fun? Like, what are some fun classes, fun activities you've been doing that makes you love your career going to even more?
Well, I mean, we have like a lot of clubs and societies being formed in our school. So in terms of like a ER, like a emergency medicine interest club, so they send you with they pair you with the ER physician so you can, shadow them. So if they're doing a procedure, they'll let you be in the background. They let you watch everything. You can, chime in. They'll ask you questions because third year we'll be on clinical, so we'll be out in the hospitals. So this will be my final year of didactic coursework, sitting in the classroom and all that. And as much as there's like a lot of fun aspects, like the whole suturing. I have that piece of skin. It's right by my bedside. They tell us to practice like 10 minutes before you go to bed. Just make sure they're like clean in the line. Things like that. It's like cheesy, but it's like a lot of fun. A lot of doctors that come by, give us like guest lectures. I had like a favorite. One of my favorites was a pathology professor from Texas, Beck Weathers, Dr. Beck Weathers. He was on top of Everest.
Oh wow!
He lost both his hands and his feet to frostbite when he was stuck up there for a whole night in the death zone. That's past 26,000 feet elevation. He did a Skype call with our whole class, and we got to talk to him about what it's like the frostbite, hypothermia aspects. I gave a speech in front of the school about how altitude affects your your oxygen levels, your blood, and what you can do to acclimate and be successful if you're a climber and you want to climb up to these high 8,000 meter peaks and all that.
So actually, this is a good thing that you just brought up. I was actually in Peru a couple of years ago. I was above 10,000 feet, and oxygen starts to be lacking, and they said they have oxygen tanks, but I mean, that's just the basic stuff. So what do you actually suggest for those kinds of situations?
They usually say to acclimate, so depending on the elevation you're at, you'll climb up a certain amount, and you'll go back down and you sleep low. So they say climb high, sleep low. That's the usual, prescription. But if you would like a prescription, they usually do Diamox. I'm sure maybe when you were talking to your physician, you may have heard of it. It's like it's a drug that you take that would essentially allow you to speeding up that acclimation process.
Does it increase your blood flow, kind of blood circulation?
It'll essentially make your blood more acidic. So we're talking like hemoglobin saturation curves and all that. So you'll be able to hold on to oxygen a little while longer, so that once your oxygen is systemically being circulated in your whole body, your extremities, everything will get ample oxygen for you to just do your thing, hike, climb, or whatever you do.
So hypothetically saying, can that be used as a drug for performance?
Right. Well, it's actually geared for a completely different aspect. It's more so for blood pressure and all that. So that's what it's primarily for. It's a carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. So
I wish I knew what those words meant.
Well, it's it actually fulfills a completely separate niche, but it can be used for people that are in high altitude, like you said you were in Peru. And if you're feeling down in the dumps, you get that splitting headache. That'll basically cut that out if you take it just a day prior to your trip.
Wow. Kicks in just that like that.
I still say naturally,
Yeah, of course. I mean, but if you don't have a choice, if you just dropped in 10,000 feet above it, go. I can go to a different country.
You're gonna have to take me in there.
So I mean, I guess, would you have any words of wisdom to people who want to get into your career? I mean, like you you've done things prior to it. You didn't just go jump into a doctor.
Yeah.
You were trying in your high school. You're like, I liked it. Let me see further, and now you're just pursuing what you love. And this is more than just a hobby for you. This is a passion, it's a desire. It's more than the money. It's actually something you truly are fully entwined into.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like a word of wisdom or advice to everyone listening would be, you know, like be sure to always like, you know, follow a trajectory. I went off a gut feeling. It was a gut feeling. I mean, it made sense to me. You know, society usually dictates, oh, you have to, you know, if you're a lawyer, doctor, or any of these fields, you'll be successful and all that. Yes, that's true. It is a very lucrative field, but, you know, I've seen many physicians out in New Mexico that relegate themselves to like family medicine out in like the Native American reservations. Like I'm personally applying for the Native American reservation. The money is, if you're doing it for the money, you're going to be miserable. That's, you know, that's the end, you know, motivator for a lot of people. Like, you know, there's unfortunately a lot of people that are in it for the money, and I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't personally. I do have to pay these loans off. So, you know, like I started off like Jesuit school at Fordham and Brooklyn Tech, so like, you know, even being like a theology bio major, it's still, you know, was always leading me towards that trajectory. Even my photography, my climbing, it's all intertwined with medicine. So it sounds, you know, a little, you know, interesting that I always combine everything with medicine, but for me, it's like the only thing that makes sense to me. I've been doing it for so many years that it's just like second nature. Yeah. So I'd say like just don't, if you have like a gut feeling or an instinct, just go for it. I mean, see it through. You don't want to like, you know, look down 20, 30 years down the line and think like, you know, the what ifs. What if I didn't, you know, shadow that doctor? What if I didn't, you know, do that interview on YouTube or like, you know, it's like, you know, exactly. A lot of what ifs, and you just got to do it, you know, and that's what I did. And I'm, like I said, I'm still a work in progress. I got a lot of years left to do.
And it's always ongoing process, you say yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And end of the month, I'll go back to New Mexico, finish up year 2, and then, you know, onwards and forwards.
Maybe we'll see the famous doctor somewhere in New Mexico.
Yeah, hopefully.
Zen Con.
Well, the dream goal is Alaska, so, you know, I'll try to, you know,
completely different climate.
Well, I'm a winter guy, so like New York, you know, I'm dying out in the desert. It's real beautiful, so I'm staying there for a bit.
Thank you for coming so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Good night, guys.
Take it easy.